a sizable amount of knight skins inside of Fortnite, with our most recent addition coming our way via the Battle Pass for Season 2 OG. So today, I thought it'd be a fun idea to take a look at every knight skin in Fortnite and rank them from worst to best. Now this skin is arguably the least knight-like of all the skins on the list, mainly because his armor is minimal and he doesn't even wear a helmet, which is pretty much rule number 1 in becoming a knight 101. Kieran arrived in Chapter 4 Season 1 as part of the Fortnite crew, and while I do appreciate the lore behind the skin, being a knight of the Ageless Order, he just feels pretty mediocre in terms of design, and when you compare him to the other knight skins in the game, he easily ranks as one of the weakest, landing him at number 20. This crossover skin from Balenciaga feels like a mashup of Rustlord with a knight aesthetic, but if you assaulted it with a bunch of logos for branding. On its own, without the civilian clothing and the excessive logos, this skin could have been pretty cool, but as it is, Game Knight is just too much of an eyesore for me, and it's definitely not a skin that I enjoy wearing. Now I might get some pushback here, but I've never been a huge fan of Eternal Night, ever since her release in Chapter 2, Season 3. The shiny silver details clash with the dark black and red tones, rather than complementing them, and on top of that, I'm not a huge fan of her helmet or the bulkiness of the shoulder pads. And while I'm sure a more streamlined version without the extra armor details could have been really cool, Eternal Night just doesn't do it for me, which is why she ranks at number 18 on today's list. And from now on, we're getting into skins that for the most part I enjoy, but small details hold them back, and Scrap Knight Jewels is a perfect example of that at play. I love every single jewel skin that we've received in the game, and the idea of turning her into a knight using scrap metals was fantastic, and it was on point for the character. And honestly, they almost nailed it. However, the biggest issue that I have is the lack of a helmet option for the skin. I get that it's Jewels, and she's one of the most recognizable characters in the game, so having a masked off version does make sense. But an all chrome knight skin that's so unique without a proper helmet edit style just feels like a missed opportunity. So while I do enjoy the skin, there's a few details that hold it back, and I think it could have been even better, so we'll put her at 17. Now this is a skin that I think a lot of people forget about, as when it dropped back in 2023, I didn't hear a lot of people talk about the skin, which is a shame because it has a really unique look. Swamp Knight blends a classic knight aesthetic with an assassin-like vibe, and I honestly really dig it. The only change I'd make is adding an edit style where his cloak is black with red accents, giving him a darker, more intimidating look. Also, glowing eyes would be a nice addition, similar to what we see with Raven, as they'd elevate the design even more. But as it stands, Swamp Knight is a pretty cool skin, and it's a pretty solid addition to the knights in the game, so we'll put him at 16. This was the first knight skin that was introduced in Chapter 1 Season 2, and I have to admit, out of all the early knight skins in the game, she's probably the weakest of the bunch. This is a new skin from our previous Fortnitemares event in 2024, and I actually really enjoy this skin. But if I could change one thing, I would have based the design on the red knight rather than the dark red knight that they went with. The horns coming out of the helmet and the bulky shoulder pads add a little bit too much clutter and take away from the details of the skin. That said though, the flaming effects and the eerie vibes are on point, and it's a fantastic original concept for Fortnitemares and a solid knight skin overall, landing here at number 14. Now I'm a huge fan of the Red Knight, so you'd think taking a skin that I already love and adding my favorite color scheme of black and purple would have been an instant win. But for some reason, this skin just doesn't click for me. If I could fix the skin, I'd invert the color scheme, making the purple and cube effects more prominent while toning down the black. And on top of that, I'd get rid of the horns as well, as I'm not a big fan of this addition, as they feel pretty unnecessary and take away from the sleekness of the original design. And next up, we have another Halloween skin, this time a pumpkin-themed reimagining of Ultima Knight himself. But calling it a simple reskin doesn't do it justice, because this skin is extremely unique. I love when Epic Games goes all out on a concept that feels risky, but ends up working incredibly well. The blend of a knight armor with the eerie glowing pumpkin aesthetic is just perfect for Fortnitemares, and this was one of my main skins during the event, and I can't wait to wear this skin once the spooky season arrives yet again, so we'll put him at number 12. Now this is more of a traditional knight skin that you'd expect to see in any form of media. It's a solid design for what it is, but it doesn't really stand out as anything special in 2025. That said, I do love the simplicity of the skin, as well as the color scheme, plus the Squire shield that comes with him is a fantastic addition, so that helps edge him to number 11 on the list. And hey, if you're enjoying today's video, make sure you smash that subscribe button, as YouTube is telling me that less than 5% of you watching right now are actually subbed. Also, be sure to hit the like button to help push the video out to more people, and also use code Twistychase in the Fortnite item shop with your next purchase to support me and the channel. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Ultima Knight's first few styles, but where this skin really wins me over is with the Origin style, as it's essentially a redesigned Black Knight with color options for silver, gold, and red, and they all look fantastic. And given that Season X was all about reimagined favorites from previous battle passes, I think Ultima Knight served its purpose very well, and even if the base look was a little lackluster, I still really like the skin, so I put him at number 10. Now this skin is essentially just a recolor of Spider Knight, who, spoiler alert, will appear later in this video, featuring a black, white, and green color scheme, fitting for an Xbox exclusive. And while the skin is cool for what it is, I can't rank it any higher since it doesn't bring much new to the table beyond the recolor, but I can't deny these colors combined with the design of Spider Knight are just sick, so we'll put him at number 9. Now, it's no secret that I'm not a huge fan of bulky skins, and while the skin is on the larger side, I don't think the bulkiness takes away from how sick the design is. The armor design is so clean, the glowing accents are perfect, and it captures that classic Omega vibe in a knight form. My only real gripe is the solid gold style, as it just feels a little too much on the eyes, and I wish there were more color light options besides just the basic orange, but despite these nitpicks, Omega Knight is a fantastic skin, so we'll put him at number 8. Now, Axion Sential is one of the most unique skins on the list, and it came our way through a level up pack in Chapter 4 that was sold in the item shop. I really like this skin, as the purple color scheme is vibrant, and the galaxy effect on the armor gives it a cool otherworldly vibe. Now, putting this video together, I realized that Spider Knight is a skin that a lot of people tend to overlook, but I think he's actually pretty underrated. And while it's clear that Epic Games was capitalizing on the success of the Black Knight, they took inspiration from it and made it uniquely spooky, perfectly fitting for the Halloween season in Season 6. It's a unique skin on its own, while also keeping the core Knight aesthetic intact, so he finds himself at number 6. Now, the Frozen Knight is just a reskin of the Red Knight, but honestly, it being a reskin isn't bad at all. I love the Red Knight, and I'm a huge fan of the Frozen series, so this was definitely a win-win. The combination of the light blue, the dark blue, and the gray works so well with the design of the Frozen Knight, giving it that cold, icy feel, and it makes for a great redesign of one of the best Knight characters in the game, so we'll put her at number 5. Now, Spectre Knight is a fantastic blend of every major Knight skin in the game, making her one of the most desired Battle Pass skins and Knight skins of all time. She has an incredible base design, but what really sets her apart is the level of customization that she has. You can tweak her helmet, the armor, and even the pattern of the skin. Plus, you have the ability to fully customize the colors of her outfit, which means that every Spectre Knight that you come across in-game is extremely unique. Now sure, this skin might have an unfair advantage, but I think most people will agree that she deserves her spot at number 4 on the list. Now, the Knight Conqueror is our newest Knight skin on the list, and he's essentially a modernized reskin of the OG Black Knight from Chapter 1. Now, I know the hype around this skin is real, and a lot of people would probably have him at number 1, but I think we're letting recency bias cloud the judgment when comparing him to the original. But that being said, I still think this skin is extremely sick, and the design is absolutely fantastic. Overall, Knight Conqueror is a solid reimagining, landing him at number 3. Now, Red Knight has always been one of my all-time favorites, and that sentiment remains the same in 2025. There's just something so clean about the design of the Red Knight, and it perfectly captures the charm that made Chapter 1 skin so memorable, with a menacing rustic vibe that still feels both sleek and simple, so she lands herself at number 2. Black Knight was the defining Fortnite Tier 100 skin, and even after all of these years, he still stands out as one of the best skins in the entire game, and without a doubt, the best Knight skin that we've received. The black and red color scheme is so iconic, and the Knight aesthetic fit perfectly with Fortnite's early vibe in Chapter 1. Now, I know a lot of you might think the newer Knight Conqueror deserves the top spot, but I just can't overlook how sick the original is. So for now, the Black Knight earns the number 1 spot on today's list as the best Knight skin in all of Fortnite. But before you go, I want to hear it from you in the comments below. What's your all-time favorite Knight skin, and what do you think of my personal list? And until next time, as always, take care and stay twisty.